Welcome to our market analysis call, and this is for trading for the week of May 7th to the 11th, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only and is not intended to be investment advice for anyone in particular. If you have questions about your individual investment needs, I recommend you talk to your investment advisor. And just be mindful that trading is a risky business. So you want to make sure you're not playing with the money that you cannot afford to lose. Now let's dive into our analysis here. So we'll start off as usual with our Forex Factory calendar. Coming up this week, not much on a Monday here. We have bank holiday in UK. We do have some FOMC members speaking. And then retail sales for Australia and inflation expectations for New Zealand. So this will be important for each of these currencies. Tuesday, though, we do have Fed Chair Powell speaking. So this one will be important. Anytime we have the central banker speaking, this becomes very important, especially now after we saw FOMC come out. Or I should say, most of the market participants, over 90%, are actually expecting an interest rate hike coming up in June. So market will be watching to see what Chair Powell has to say about the interest rate hike, if he gives any sort of guidance in regards to that. So this will be very important. Annual budget for Australia here will be important. Not much else in terms of major news. On Wednesday, though, it becomes heavier here. We have PPI numbers for the US. Again, these numbers will be important. The main thing here will be New Zealand here. We are expected to get their monetary policy statement. The interest rate is not expected to go up. And we also will have the rate statement and press conference. And now what the market will be looking for here would be how Reserve Bank of New Zealand sees economic growth, what their forecast is on economic growth, how they are expecting the tariffs and other things to impact the economy, and what their guidance is in regards to the monetary policy. So right now, both Australia and New Zealand, neither one of them has raised interest rates. However, should that change, that's what the market will be looking for from here, from this monetary policy statement. So again, it will be market impacting, or it will have an impact on New Zealand dollar. So if you're trading that, be mindful of that. And then we also have Reserve Bank of New Zealand Governor Orr speaking later. So again, we'll have an impact from that. And then on May 10th here, Thursday, we have manufacturing production numbers out of UK. The most important thing here would be the Bank of England. So Bank of England is not expected to raise rates at this point. So there was expectations from Bank of England to start raising rates later in the year, and then they got pushed forward. But right now, we're not expecting an interest rate hike. So again, the question here will be what Bank of England has to say about what's going on in the economy and around Brexit and tariffs and things like that. So this will be very important for British pound. So make sure to keep that in mind. If you're trading the pound during this, I don't recommend trading the news, but be very careful with this, because a market can become very, very volatile when we have this type of a news announcement. And then in the US session, we have CPI and core CPI numbers. These are the inflation numbers. And last week, we heard that the Fed is not concerned about overshoot of inflation. They're not worried that it will reach their target level. So they're okay with this one. But what we do need to keep in mind is if the inflation is not growing, if we get a negative number here, that will have a negative impact on the US dollar. So CPI or inflation is one of the things that central banks track. So this is a very, very important number. On Friday, we have employment numbers out of Canada. And then we have ECB President Draghi speaking. Again, anytime there's a central banker speaking, it is important, so we'll have to pay attention to that. So let's move on to the charts now. So let's start off with our euro dollar as usual here. All right, so last week we had talked about euro dropping, and it has dropped now. So again, we have a large bearish engulfing candle close here. So now I'm looking for another bearish move to the downside. So in this case, the target would be 1.1720 level here. So that will be our target to the downside. It still looks bearish. Now we have had large moves, 2 large moves to the downside here. So we can expect some pullback and then a further drop. So this is the type of move that I'm looking for. Overall, though, it still remains bearish, and my target is 1.1720 level to the downside for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one we have had a weekly close as well, or sorry, bearish weekly close as well. So in this case, looking for price to drop further as well. The target would be 1.3280 level here. And again, we can expect a bit of a pullback and then a further drop. So overall, the bias is to the downside, and looking for 1.3280 will be the target to the downside. So this is bearish as well. Aussie dollar here. Aussie, we did see a couple of days of pullbacks, or 3 days where the price has pulled back. So now it's struggling with this daily level. If you come take a look here, it's struggling with that level. So in this case, we do have a bearish candle close, but I don't like the pin down here so much, which means the price could turn around and go higher. So the question here will be the move that I would be looking for. Okay, so in terms of the moves, let's take a look, see what we can expect. So this is how our candle has closed. So there's still bearishness in it. Overall, this is bearish, but now we're starting to see pullbacks. So this is what I would be looking for, how price reacts at this level here. So if the price pulls back and holds below this 75.80 level, then I'm looking for price to drop further. But it does not hold below this level, then it can go up higher. So 75.80 level here becomes important. If it pulls up further, then I'm looking for price to go up higher into 76.80 level to the upside. So this one, it has overall biases to the downside. So my bias would be neutral on this one, just because we do have bearish candle close, but we have a large pin. And large pin here, so if we look at the daily, this suggests pullback. So I'm looking for a pullback all the way into this previous support resistance level, which is 75.80. And if price holds below this 75.80 like that, so if you get this double top situation here, then I'm looking for price to continue lower. But if it, let's say, goes here, breaks through, then I'm looking for price to move up higher. So that's the scenario with this one. So I'm neutral on Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar, we had a similar situation, but it is still bearish. It's still more bearish than Australian dollar here is. So in this case, I am looking for price to drop further. Now, do keep in mind, we have a Reserve Bank of New Zealand monetary policy statement coming up. That always has an impact, or anytime there's central bank, there will be impact from there. So with this one, I'm looking for price to drop further here. And here the bias would be to the downside. So it could pull up because we're starting to see loss in momentum, but overall this is bearish, and target here is 68.90 level and then 6,800, so 0.6800. Those are the two targets to the downside. Dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD has been interesting. It has traded in this range for quite some time. So we are into this support resistance level, and as we can see, price has been holding this level for some time now. Excuse my lines on this. I was doing a demonstration on some orders, how to place pending orders. So we have, this is a demo account, so I have some pending orders set up here for a test that we are running. Okay, so this is the move that I'm looking for. So in this case, we see that price has not been able to hold below this level here. So I'm looking for price to go like that and then drop below here. So my bias here is bearish. I'm looking for price to drop. So if we take a look at the daily here, we see that price has been holding this level, and this is where this support resistance level is coming from. And now we have this bearish candle close here. Based on the weekly, we have a rejection here as well. So this is the type of thing we have. So we have a pin here, rejection. So I'm looking for price to drop from here, but see how price went up higher. So we could see that move as well. So it could go test all the way to the high here and then drop. So that's what we have to keep in mind. Looking for price to do this type of a thing and then a drop. So I'm still looking for price to drop. My bias is bearish, but if it goes above the previous high here, then we could see the price go up further to the upside. So this one, it could turn around and come back down, or if it breaks above the range, then I'm looking for price to go to the next level. So that's this one here, but more of a bias to the downside here than to the upside. So we'll see which way it goes. It is range bound the entire week. It has stayed in this range. So for the upcoming week, I'm going to trade it as a range bound, but overall weekly bias will be to the downside. Euro pound here hasn't really done a whole lot. It has moved up slightly, and based on that, looking for price to move up further, and the target here is 89.50 level. So top of this pin, that will be for euro pound, just looking for it to continue going higher. Very, very small move for the week. And let's see. Pound CAD looking quite bearish here, looking for it to drop further. 1.7080 would be the target to the downside. So this one looks bearish right now. Euro CAD hasn't really hasn't done much over the last couple of days, but this one is bearish still, looking for it to drop further. And the target would be 1.5200 level to the downside. So EuroCAD is bearish as well. This one here is bearish. It couldn't break this resistance level for several weeks. So we've seen a drop and looking for it to drop further. 1.7620 level will be the bias, or will be the target to the downside. So the bias is to the downside here. Let's go to Swiss crosses here first. With our Swiss crosses, Euro Swiss, it's sideways, hasn't really done a whole lot. So with this one, price is holding above. Oops. Okay, so with this one, price is holding above this previous support and resistance level. It hasn't really broken through here, and it's very, very sideways, so it's very neutral. So if you take a look here, price has just been going sideways here, hasn't really done much. So my bias here is neutral. It is holding above the previous resistance level, previous high here. So as long as it holds above previous high, it could go up higher. So with this one, my bias is neutral, but it's still overall bullish. Pound Swiss franc here hasn't really done too much. Small move for the week, looking bearish. We had two pins here, so still looks bearish. The target is 1.3450 and 1.3330 level here to the downside. So bias for this one is still bearish. Dollar Swiss franc here, this one has been bullish. We are coming into resistance now, so we have to be careful with this. Now, the way I would look at this one, overall, we are bullish. We have been bullish for a while here. Price has been moving higher. Now we are into significant resistance, but we are closing with a very bullish candle. So in this case, price could do, so my bias is bullish, and I'm looking for price to go into the next high, which is 1.0150 level. And the question is, if the price comes and does this, then we could see price go back into 99.20 level. But overall, so you have to be careful. So we have to be careful with price clearing the high here. So as long as price clears the high, looking for price to move up higher. Pound yen. Pound yen has been bearish this week, so looking for it to drop further. The next target is 145.11, and below that 142.50. So bias is to the downside for pound yen. Euro yen here, we have bearish candle close, looking for price to move lower. So in this case, looking for it to drop into 128, so 12900 level. That will be the first target. And then if it continues the drop below 128.00 will be the next target to the downside. So bias is bearish. Dollar yen here, this one is interesting. So we did see a drop, but we did see a drop here. However, if you look at the weekly candle here, it's a doji. So with this one, we could see price to push up higher, but with the doji, because there is a pin rejection here, this one could drop further here as well. So looking at 107.60 as the next level for that. So my bias would be, because of the pin here, it would be to the downside. 107.60 would be my target to the downside for that. Aussie yen here, Aussie yen is looking bearish as well, and looking for it to drop further into 80.50. And so the bias is to the downside. CAD yen here. CAD yen, we have seen price just go sideways. So it is still sideways. We do see the rejection from the top here. So with this one, looking at the daily here, this is just still range bound. So we need to see price break down from the range or go higher. So this one, I'm going to trade it as a range bound move. If price goes into the high at 85.80, I'm looking for a drop. If it comes into 84.30, then we have to see if it actually breaks through to the bottom. If it breaks through to the bottom, then it could come down to the next level. So that's what we have to keep in mind. My bias here is neutral or range bound for CAD yen. All right, so last one here, New Zealand yen. This one has also been dropping, so the next target to the downside is 85.50. So the bias is to the downside for New Zealand yen. I'm looking for price to come back into the bottom here. So this is a significant support. So 85.50 will be the target to the downside for New Zealand yen. All right, so that's it. That's it for here. Any questions? Gold. Yes, let's take a look at gold. All right, so gold on a weekly basis. So this has been trading in this range for a while. So we talked about this range last time. Now we are into the bottom of the range, and looks like price is pushing up higher here now. So with this one, what I would look at is, how does price respond at this previous level? This previous support and resistance level at 1320. So right now, I expect the price to pull up higher into 1320 level. And if the price stays below this 1320 level, then we could expect the price to come lower and then potentially even break down to the downside. But for now, it is range bound. We are at the bottom of the range. It is pushing up higher. And so I would just trade it as a range bound unless we can see a breakout to the downside, because it could go all the way back into the range as well. And as we can see, for several weeks, this has been in this range, and I was looking for price to, as long as it stays below, looking for it to drop here. And so we could get a break below the range this week, but I would look at this on a daily chart. And if it stays below this 1320 level, then we can start to see price come lower, and it could go into this 1280 level to the downside. But again, because we are at this critical level here where price is into the bottom of the range, if it breaks above, then I'm looking for price to go all the way to the top of the range, just like it's done in all these instances. So right now it is range bound, and I would just treat it as a range bound market. So buying at the bottom and selling at the top. So it goes into the high again. There's been multiple resistance points here, and we could get another sell as well. Oil here, oil has gone up. So now we have closed above. It came and tested this previous level to the downside, and now it's closing up higher. So looking bullish. So we are almost into the 70 level here. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is looking bullish. We are closing into the high. So if you take a look here, so this is where we are into this previous resistance level. We have closed very bullishly into it. So once price breaks above here, looking for price to go higher into 73.20 level, but do realize that this is a strong level. So it could struggle with it, but as we can see, it is trying to break out of this range. Gold was in a range as well the whole week, and now it's been trying to break out of that range. It's closed above the previous highs on the daily time frame. So if it sustains that, if it holds below this previous levels, then I'm looking for it to go higher into 73.20. So oil is looking quite bullish here as well. All right, so that's it for me. So just a quick reminder. A lot of people have been asking me about the trade room or trading signal service. I had stopped this service as it exists because I'm making some changes to the way what I'm going to be offering. But for now, because those are still a few weeks away, I'm not quite ready. The whole behind the scenes hasn't been done. And because I'm getting more questions about the trading signals here and the trade room service, I'm reopening it for a week. So some people missed it when I closed it last time. So I'm just reopening this just for a week. So if you want to join the trade room or trading signals service, then you can, you're welcome to join. As part of the service, what you get is you get access to my private Skype group where I put my market commentary on a daily basis. I share trade ideas, I put charts and things like that. And I also, when I enter trades, I also put an alert in the trade room saying I'm entering the trade with my stop loss and profit targets in there as well, and my entry levels. And it's sent out over Twitter as well. So Twitter, if you only want the signals, you would just look at Twitter. But if you want the commentary and everything else, you would join the Skype room as well. But when you sign up, you get access to both. And then we also do a daily market analysis call, similar to what we just did, where we look at 20 different pairs, and we look at what the best place to enter that is and what direction we are looking for price to go. So in terms of timings, I trade Tuesday and Friday, so I'm incorporating more of the New York session as well. So Tuesday and Fridays we'll do New York session trades, and then Wednesday, Thursday will be London trades. However, after the daily market analysis, I am going to start setting out pending orders now, so that the 3 best chart setups that we see from the daily chart, I will set up trades. So if you are available to trade, just place the trades in the Asian session, you can do so, or if you are in the London, you would get that recording in the morning, or the sheet in the morning with the levels that we have talked about, so you can take those targets, or you can take those trades in the morning. So now I'm making it more to cover both the New York and London session. So that's the slight difference. I'm going forward. Those are some of the things that I'm incorporating. And the cost is $97 per month to sign up. If you want to sign up, here's the link. It's bit.ly link, TWV Trade Room as well. So I'll be sending out an email with this as well. If you're on my mailing list, you'll be able to get the email, and I'll be putting this on YouTube as well. So if you are interested in signing for that service, this is only going to be open for 1 week, and then I am still working on the new set of services, so we're going to change the format a bit. So this won't be available any longer after that. All right, so that's all I have. You guys have a wonderful rest of the week and a great trading week after that. And I will see you for the weekly analysis next week. Thank you. Hey, guys, bye for now.